okay? I look at it from that standpoint, and I say mad respect. Are there other players in the WNBA that are better? Yes, at the moment, okay? But they never did.
Miss Monica McNutt could have figured that out and took a conversation and did something she has never done before that absolutely shocked.
Have you caught wind of the absolute bombshell that's sending tremors through the entire sports media landscape? The newest ESPN controversy hasn't just gone off the rails, it's morphed into a full-scale courtroom spectacle, and leading the charge in this verbal showdown, without even a hint of hesitation, is the incomparable StephenASmith. This isn't your average segment. Stephen A. has ripped off the gloves and dived headfirst into battle, not merely to argue but to completely dismantle Monica McNutt and Chiny Aguamike. Their criticisms of Caitlin Clark, which he's labeled as outrageously misinformed and shamelessly slanted, have triggered a fierce and uncompromising rebuttal. To Smith, this isn't just commentary, it's a mission. It's not a debate, it's an inquisition.
What is your bigger concern when you highlight that Angel Reese, like Caitlin Clark is usually the victim, Angel Reese is usually the villain? Is that your primary concern?
But before we dissect the explosion, let's rewind and examine the core issue that ignited this firestorm. Caitlin Clark, arguably the most electrifying and heavily discussed rookie to ever enter the WNBA, once again showcased why she commands such a spotlight. She racked up a triple-double that would make seasoned pros jealous, a clinical 20 points, 10 commanding rebounds, and 10 brilliant assists. That's not just a stat line, it's a message. Then came the flashpoint. Midway through the third quarter, Clark performed a sharp, aggressive box-out against Angel Reese. It was physical, no question. It was tough, competitive, playoff-caliber basketball. But a flagrant foul? Really? That call wasn't just questionable, it was borderline ludicrous.
All the time. So Angel Reese pushes Natasha Howard in the back, which angers Caitlin, and Caitlin gives a no free buckets foul with some extra sauce on.
What followed, however, pushed the controversy into overdrive and lit the fuse under StephenASmith's now viral eruption. In the aftermath of the questionable foul, Monica McNutt and Chiny Aguamike jumped in with reactions that Stephen A. could only describe as exaggerated and agenda-driven. Monica, leaning into her platform with characteristic dramatics, declared, "If this were reversed, oh Lord, imagine the uproar." At face value, it sounded like a powerful point, but in Stephen A.'s eyes, it reeked of selective outrage. He saw through the performance and was quick to highlight the staggering irony embedded in that narrative.
They both said this was a basketball play. Now, Greedy, let's be honest. If this was the other way around, oh Lord, you can only imagine how the conversation would have gone.
If this was the other way around, oh Lord, you could have only imagined how the conversation would have. Well, you know what, Monica? That's a good. Let's see if we have any examples of this possibly being the other way.
Believe to Angel Reese.
Oh!
They will go to the monitor.
Wait a second.
To review this one.
Yeah, that's right.
Boom!
Stephen A. Smith responded with the ferocity of 1,000 burning truths. He laid out a compelling counterpoint. When the roles were reversed in the past and it was Angel Reese who fouled Caitlin Clark, what did Clark do? Nothing. She walked away. No flopping, no angry gestures, no hunting for sympathy or media headlines. Just professionalism. Just basketball. That, Smith emphasized, was the difference. But now, because Clark was the one delivering the contact, suddenly the sports world acts like it's witnessing an international scandal. The double standard wasn't subtle, it was glaring and offensive to anyone who values consistency and fairness.
Or three. If you're not one of them no-good bastards that would do something like that, feel something like that, say something like that, nobody's talking about you. Don't personalize it and embrace it as if black folks and other folks are lumping you with.
So let's strip this down and examine what Stephen A. labeled as a grotesquely obvious double standard that's quietly become the WNBA's most awkward secret. Angel Reese, with a long-documented pattern of aggressive behavior, eye-poking, shoving, constant taunting, has built a brand on being relentlessly in your face. And yet, the media consumes it like entertainment, praising her fire and passion. But when Caitlin Clark plays hard-nosed, physical basketball within the rules? Suddenly she's labeled as dirty, dangerous, even reckless. How is this considered a balanced take? Angel's identity in the league is built on being loud, brash, and confrontational. That's fine. But don't cry foul when someone returns the energy, especially when they do it with more discipline and skill.
What I didn't agree with is when she said, oh yeah, all players react the way that Angel Reese reacted. Now, if we think back to last year when Caitlin Clark was getting knocked all over the place, how was her reaction? Did she get up and try to fight? Did she get up and try to get in somebody's face afterwards? A lot of those times, it was just her maybe laying down, or she got up and walked away, got up, went to the bench. So I don't necessarily agree that everybody reacted the same.
This, StephenASmith argued, is where the conversation turns from controversial to critical. He didn't just push back, he launched a full-scale expose, calling out Monica McNutt and Chiny Aguamike for doing something no one at ESPN had dared to confront directly, using identity politics as a shield for unacceptable behavior. Monica's insinuations tried to paint Angel Reese as a victim of racial bias while elevating Caitlin Clark as the beneficiary of white favoritism. But Stephen A. wasn't having it. He didn't simply disagree, he tore that entire framework apart piece by piece, using unflinching logic and evidence to expose what he saw as a hollow, divisive argument.
It's not about black and white. It's about that white player and that black player. Why? Because of the history that they had before they came to the WNBA. You see, it was all instigated. If Angel Reese was never in Caitlin Clark's face, taunting her the way that she did when they mimicking what Caitlin Clark was doing to numerous opponents en route to the Final Four, and then Angel Reese and LSU bust their living you know what at that particular moment in time, and Angel Reese was in her face chirping at her the way that she did, it would have never gotten to the...
In a moment of unfiltered intensity, Stephen A. unleashed a blistering critique of Angel Reese's ongoing lack of composure. He traced her behavior all the way back to the now infamous hand wave during the LSU championship, arguing that ever since, she has operated more like a clout-chasing social media figure than a focused professional athlete. Her posturing, her media antics, her relentless attempts to paint herself as Caitlin Clark's rival have, according to experts Stephen A. referenced, overshadowed her talent. Her pursuit of attention, he said, has become not just exhausting, it's corrosive, poisoning the perception of the women's game.
If Angel Reese had never waved her hand in her face when LSU was beating Iowa for in the Final Four of the national championship, if that hadn't happened, Angel Reese's name might not be as big. Yes, she's a talent. Yes, she would have made the WNBA. But in terms of her popularity, it really soared after she took down Caitlin Clark. And then Caitlin Clark came back last year and got revenge by knocking LSU out.
In a moment of unfiltered intensity, Stephen A. unleashed a blistering critique of Angel Reese's ongoing lack of composure. He traced her behavior all the way back to the now infamous hand wave during the LSU championship, arguing that ever since, she has operated more like a clout-chasing social media figure than a focused professional athlete. Her posturing, her media antics, her relentless attempts to paint herself as Caitlin Clark's rival have, according to experts Stephen A. referenced, overshadowed her talent. Her pursuit of attention, he said, has become not just exhausting, it's corrosive, poisoning the perception of the women's game.
When you look at Caitlin Clark is balling. She's a rookie of the year. She was one of the finalists for the league MVP honors as a rookie, breaking all types of records. She should have been on Team USA. She didn't choose to play in an unrivaled league. Her brand building has been incredibly impressive.
This isn't about race, Stephen A. thundered with conviction, his voice carrying the weight of authority and clarity. This is about the game. Respecting it. Honoring it. Playing it the right way. He made it clear, this is about how you show up on the court and off it, how you carry yourself when the cameras are rolling and even more when they aren't. And make no mistake, Stephen A. insisted, Caitlin Clark isn't a media darling because she's white or from Iowa, she's earned every bit of spotlight because she's phenomenal. Her play speaks volumes, louder than any narrative, louder than any agenda.
Exactly the way that you did, that you expressed rather. But there are an abundance of people that weren't looking at it that way at all.
there are an abundance of people that have religiously respected the great talent that exists within the WNBA and the women who have done it. What has happened is that in America, you have somebody that's come along, who, by the way, I'm going to go there, who happens to be white, and brought a level of attention and allure to the sport it had not received before. And what we were seeing from an abundance of folks.
Caitlin Clark is doing more than playing basketball, she's transforming a franchise. The Indiana Fever, a team long lost in the shadows of irrelevance, is now basking in national attention because of her. She's selling out arenas, smashing TV ratings, and redefining what's possible for women's basketball. And none of this is by accident. She's not riding privilege, she's carrying the league on talent alone. Meanwhile, Angel Reese appears trapped in a loop, milking her NCAA moment for every ounce of relevance while manufacturing drama instead of letting her game speak. Stephen A. didn't just point this out, he shouted it from the mountaintop.
Monica McNutt, nothing smart to say. Can you address that? No, it's okay, Monica. It's okay. You too busy worried about the Indiana Fever fans. You're not worried about the actual trolls and the hate and the bigotry that's taking place on that side, are you? No, but why are we surprised?
By this point, StephenASmith had reached his absolute boiling point. His patience had evaporated. He hammered the desk, his voice soaring, his frustration erupting. He asked what everyone had been silently thinking. Why is Caitlin Clark repeatedly targeted, fouled hard, and yet met with silence, while the slightest bit of contact with Angel Reese turns into a headline frenzy? Why is it that every time Reese hits the floor, it's a national emergency, but when Clark gets decked, no one blinks? The hypocrisy, he said, was exhausting, and the silence from so-called analysts like McNutt and Aguamike was deafening. He wasn't just venting, he was demanding accountability.
I'm not as bothered by this as people. Let me tell you why. Not bothered by this because I love when folks are stupid to show. You see, what we need to work with. Remember, as they say, you know, you can have cats and sheets. We see them coming. And they said, no, just take off the sheets. Some folks said, just take off the sheets. We're just going to put on the suit and infiltrate and look like everybody.
Monica McNutt, when confronted, offered nothing substantial in return. Her silence, her evasion, spoke louder than any rebuttal. Can you address it? Came the question. But she brushed it aside, pivoting to vague mentions of Indiana Fever fans rather than tackling the issue of online trolls, hate, and bigotry with any clarity. It was, in Stephen A.'s eyes, an evasion of responsibility.
To address Monica McNutt's point, I found it very unfortunate that she would say that. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the executive producer of First Take. You ever heard of Monica McNutt? You have now.
And so, StephenASmith asked the most damning question of all. Why is Angel Reese consistently allowed to behave in a way that would be condemned if done by anyone else? Why is she permitted to stir the pot, provoke players, engage in theatrics, and then immediately cry foul the moment someone responds? This isn't just an isolated incident. It's a sustained pattern that the media, he argued, has irresponsibly enabled. And Stephen A. wasn't calling it out to stir controversy, he was calling it out to force the conversation into reality. Enough with the protective narratives. It's time for truth, objectivity, and real accountability.
And put out a false narrative. That's why. StephenASmith, Daily Mail, of course, couldn't forget them. Guy can't forget them. StephenASmith is slammed by co-hosts in furious exchange live on the air. Slammed or taken aback by the falsehood.
Let's not get it twisted, this isn't Monica McNutt's first time being verbally dismantled on national television by the powerhouse that is StephenASmith. Far from it. She has a history of lobbing sharp, often baseless accusations at Caitlin Clark and her loyal fan base, a group that includes, quite explicitly, Stephen A. himself. Unsurprisingly, her hollow and unsupported claims have never held up under pressure. Time and again, Stephen A. has countered her with surgical precision, cutting through the noise with biting wit and bulletproof logic. Each time, her narrative hasn't just been challenged, it's been incinerated. Her credibility left smoldering, her arguments flattened under the weight of a rhetorical masterclass that only someone like Stephen A. can deliver.
About them maximizing their great potential. And because we bring that up and talk about what potentially might get in their way, which we do to men all the time, now we got to sit up here and watch every syllable. I resent that, and I'll leave it at that.
All right, so let me, I know we got to go to break. Welcome to the world of being a woman.
You better check yourselves, Stephen A. erupted, his eyes ablaze with focused fury, his tone no longer suggestive but absolutely commanding. This wasn't just sports talk anymore, this was a reckoning. What the world was witnessing, he declared, wasn't basketball commentary at all. It was a thinly disguised agenda masquerading as analysis. The veneer of objectivity had cracked, revealing the cynical underpinnings beneath. The studio air itself felt charged with electricity, the tension almost tangible. Even Molly, normally composed and unshakable, appeared momentarily stunned, unsure how to follow Stephen A.'s verbal earthquake. It wasn't just commentary. It was truth, delivered with fire.
Monica, what are you doing? Life was so much better when you were downstairs, in the basement, in the closet, keeping to yourself, staying quiet, keeping your thoughts, your opinions, the things you analyze to yourself. Life was so much better when you were out of the pub.
Rather than using her valuable airtime to praise Caitlin Clark's exceptional basketball IQ, her unmatched visibility, or her history-making performances, Monica McNutt has chosen to double and triple down on one singular, simplistic narrative, that Clark's immense fame stems from her being white and from Iowa. That's it. As if her routinely explosive 40-point games, her fearless dominance over elite-level competition, or her clutch-time composure count for absolutely nothing. Monica completely disregards the hard evidence, the accolades, the stats, and instead peddles an idea so hollow it borders on delusional. It's not just disrespectful, it's a direct insult to the game and to every young girl watching who dares to believe in merit over manufactured identity-driven controversy.
It was a blowout as the Fever beat down Chicago 93-58, with Clark's triple-double leading the way.
In this proper perspective, when I think about Caitlin Clark, the operative word that comes to my mind is gratitude. There's an incredible level of gratitude that should be accorded to this.
Stephen A. wasn't close to being finished. With intensity still burning in his delivery, he pivoted sharply, bringing the spotlight back where it truly belonged, Caitlin Clark. He didn't just defend her, he elevated her. He reframed the debate entirely, insisting that this wasn't about skin color or clickbait takes. This was about legacy. Caitlin Clark, he thundered, isn't merely participating in the league, she's transforming it. She's reigniting fan engagement, pulling in millions of new viewers, and breathing life into struggling franchises that had been stagnant for years. And while she's doing all that, so-called experts waste precious broadcast time defending melodrama and manufacturing division, instead of acknowledging real excellence when they see it.
Out-chasing thing that Angel Reese does, reliving the glory days. She sits on the check-in table, hears absolutely no racial slurs, hears absolutely no mean sounds, hears absolutely nothing but boos being rained down from Gainbridge Fieldhouse. And of course, the WNBA released a statement. Monica McNutt, you do realize that those things never happen, right? You do realize that those are a bunch of trolls on the internet, that the WNBA and fools like...
Let's lay it all on the table. StephenASmith is dead right, and anyone being honest knows it. Caitlin Clark's influence doesn't stop at stat sheets. She's creating a financial revolution in women's sports. Her presence alone is driving up ticket sales, merchandise, and television ratings. She is redefining what it means to be a point guard in today's WNBA, not just a scorer, but a leader, a tactician, a floor general who improves every player around her. Her brilliance is systemic, not superficial. She is not a media fabrication, she is a generational force. This is no trend, this is history happening in real time.
Right? And so, covering the WNBA this past season, Caitlin Clark's rookie year, for all of the conversation that surrounded her, some which was fair and some which wasn't, the one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her. Little girls with their parents and the fervor and the energy there.
Why her?
Same thing.
Why her?
Well, I was just about to say same thing for Angel Reese when I had a chance to cover their games. But I think Caitlin represented, but she was a white girl from the middle.
Meanwhile, controversy brews elsewhere. The Chicago Sky now faces scrutiny under allegations of racial bias, a situation that once again drags the WNBA into turbulent territory. And truthfully, the team doesn't even seem fully aware of just how serious the allegations are. But this isn't some isolated drama. It's part of a disturbing pattern, a league repeatedly marred by questionable calls and racially charged accusations. Remember when Monica McNutt had the audacity to suggest, without a shred of hesitation, that Caitlin Clark's success is due solely to her whiteness? That wasn't a slip-up, it was a deliberate, baseless claim that echoes with consequences far beyond one interview.
So Monica McNutt, oh Monica McNutt, you always find a way to say the dumbest shit possible. Last year, you made sure that you told us the dumbest shit possible in determining who you thought would be Rookie of the Year. And now you're telling us that the reason that anybody likes Caitlin Clark and anybody's watching Caitlin Clark is because...
And then we get the same tired spectacle from Angel Reese replaying her old moments of glory like a broken record. She takes a seat at the scorer's table, expecting thunderous applause. But there are no racial slurs, no malicious chants, just a steady rain of boos from the crowded Gainbridge Fieldhouse. That's not hate, that's fans reacting to her attitude, her antics. Still, the WNBA trots out a generic statement, and people like Monica McNutt twist the reality, pretending this is evidence of racism. Let's be clear, none of those attacks exist except in their imagined victimhood. And Monica, deep down, probably knows that too.
Oh, first of all, it's not a rivalry. Not when you lose about 35 points.
That's true.
It's not rivalry. Indiana Fever's on a different level than the Chicago Sky. Let's get that out of the way. Secondly, as much as we love Angel Reese because she is special, she's not Caitlin Clark as a player. Caitlin Clark is on a different level. We just have to own that. Angel Reese can rebound the basketball. She's a damn good player. She's got a bright future in the WNBA, but Caitlin Clark is next level.
And now she's being called out for it. She had said some ridiculous things during an interview. And people just can't believe this, frankly. But it's where we're at. ESPN, I guess, I don't know what they would do if they couldn't race bait at this point. I don't know that they've got another pivot in them at all. And again, this is one of the reasons so many people are turning off ESPN, and shows like Around the Horn are getting canceled.
But perhaps the most jaw-dropping moment came when Monica McNutt was asked to explain Caitlin Clark's popularity. Her response? Caitlin is just a white girl from the middle of America. That's it. That was the analysis. No mention of her dominance, no acknowledgement of her record-breaking achievements, her poise, or her captivating style of play. Just a dismissive, reductive soundbite that ignored all facts. Are we seriously supposed to believe that her global fan base is blind to her skill and just enchanted by her zip code and skin tone? That's not just lazy, it's offensive. Offensive to every single person who watches her and sees greatness. Here's a reality check, Monica. Children, the most honest observers we have, don't see skin color when they idolize their heroes. They see brilliance, work ethic, and character. That's not just a sweet idea, it's a provable truth. And it's not just fans or commentators saying it. Michael Thompson, the respected father of NBA star Klay Thompson, has spoken up loud and clear. He flatly rejected your twisted logic, calling it out for what it is, garbage. He's teaching by example how to appreciate talent with integrity. He's reminding us that true greatness needs no justification, no racial narrative, just honest recognition. Michael Thompson isn't tiptoeing around this issue, he's swinging with full force. In no uncertain terms, he's made it clear that Caitlin Clark earned her fame the right way. It wasn't handed to her. She's not viral because of her background, she's viral because she's sinking logo threes with ridiculous consistency, threading impossible passes, and doing it all with a charisma that pulls people in. It's not about Iowa. It's about excellence. And that, Monica, is how you evaluate a player. You look at their game, not their genealogy. You assess their impact, not their demographics. That's real commentary. And as StephenASmith closed his impassioned segment, he dropped a verbal sledgehammer that left the entire panel speechless. If you're going to talk basketball, he said with piercing finality, then talk basketball. Dive into the plays. Study the film. Debate the strategy. Celebrate the athleticism. But if your only goal is to defend your favorites no matter what, to prop up narratives that crumble under scrutiny, then do everyone a favor and step aside. Caitlin Clark doesn't need protection from the media. She doesn't require spin. Her greatness is loud enough. Her game does the talking, and right now, it's speaking in volumes so loud the whole world is listening. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, we'll catch you in the next one.